Hello and welcome to iCatholic. I'm Wendy Grace. Well, a very important week is upon us, the Week of Witness, which is organised by Aid to the Church in Need, highlighting the plight of persecuted Christians around the world. So how can you get involved? Well, joined with me in studio to discuss this, I have Michael Kelly of Aid to the Church in Need in Ireland. For those who haven't heard of it, Michael, what's it all about?
Wendy, the Week of Witness, built around the centre point of it is Red Wednesday, is a week every year, every November, when we ask people around the country, around the world in fact, to put a particular focus on the fact that there are 360 million Christians in the world today who are persecuted and discriminated against because of their faith. When you put that in numbers, that is 1 in every 7 Christians in the world. They don't enjoy the basic freedoms that we take for granted here. Very often, that can lead to imprisonment for their faith. It can lead to displacement for their faith, violence for their faith, their churches being burnt down, and in some circumstances, unfortunately, being killed for their faith as well. So what we do is we ask parishes and communities around the world to really focus in a special way in this particular week. And why red? Red is the traditional colour of martyrdom, as we know, within the church. And one of the things we do is we light up buildings in red. We've lit the Colosseum in Rome, for example, in the past. We've lit the great statue of Christ the Redeemer in Rio de Janeiro. In Ireland, we light many of our cathedrals, many of our churches. Knock Basilica, the National Marian and Eucharistic Shrine, will be illuminated this year for the whole Week of Witness in red to try to call attention to that. So this is no gimmick. This is an awareness-raising thing. So people say, why is the local cathedral, why is the local parish church illuminated in red for this week?
And I believe you've got one of the largest statues of St. Patrick in the world lit up. People mightn't even know that this exists. Tell us about it.
We really do, and this is, an exclusive for iCatholic. The largest statue of St. Patrick in the world, bar none, is on Slieve Patrick in County Down. It's a 32-foot high statue which already sits on top of the Slieve Patrick Mountain, which itself is 300 feet. And we're going to illuminate it in red for the whole of the Week of Witness this year. And that can be seen for miles around. I'm told even on a clear day that it can actually be seen from the Isle of Man. So we think that's hugely important, just as almost like a beacon to all of the communities around there, so they can find out more about what exactly is going on about the persecution of Christians, but not in a kind of woe is me sort of way, or although it's terrible, that persecution of Christians. It is terrible, there's no question about that, but what can we do about it? And one of the things we can do is pray. And people who are not religious sometimes view that as very, very glib, but these people who suffer for their faith, who are persecuted for their faith, the prayer is so important for them. It's always the first thing that they ask. So one of the things that we've done is we've sent a lot of resources around to parishes for this week. Some suggested homilies for priests, suggested prayers of the faithful. We have this really, really interesting fact sheet that we've sent around to all the parishes, just giving people some of those basic facts and figures. Where are Christians persecuted? What's the extent of the problem? Is the problem getting worse? Is the problem getting better? Because sometimes there is that lack of information, and even if people are very, very concerned about it, it's not something that they know a lot about. And that really is our job as Aid to the Church in Need. We're a pontifical foundation, so it's our obligation. This is entrusted to us by the Holy Father, Pope Francis, to ensure this solidarity with what we call the suffering church. And it was Pope Francis, who very much has spoken about this as a contemporary situation, a contemporary problem, sometimes that we see as a problem from 2,000 years ago.
Yeah, well, the reality is, on the Sunday, starting on the 17th of November, many of us will be sitting in our churches, freely able to go to worship, to be there. And around the world, there's Christians that, should they do that, could, as you say, end up in prison simply for practicing their faith.
Yeah, many people have to keep this from their friends and families. Many people come to faith in Jesus Christ from either a secular background, an atheist background, a background of a different religion where it's not popular or religious liberty is not permitted, and that's a choice that they have to keep to themselves under fear of death in some circumstances, certainly fear of persecution. And we know that many Christians have had to flee their homelands because of persecution, particularly we see in the Middle East. We see really over the last 30, 40 years the gutting of the Middle East. A once vibrant Christian community of a few million people in Iraq is down now to about 150,000 people. So there are real fears that unless something urgent is done about this, that whole cradle of Christianity, among the people who were the first to hear the message of Jesus, that the Christian community there is going to continue to dwindle.
Well, Michael, thanks so much for just the ongoing work that Aid to the Church in Need does. activists, and also just to highlight once again the Week of Witness, which is starting on the 17th of November. Hopefully we can be just that. We can be a witness. We can be a voice for persecuted Christians around the world. As Michael said, you can pray, but also maybe it's your nudge to get in touch with your local parish and make sure that they're maybe lighting up their building or focusing on it at the Sunday Mass. Anything that you can do to highlight the plight of persecuted Christians is so important. And you can get resources and find out more about the work of Aid to the Church in Need by going to acnireland.org.